Hey, what's up, guys? Shinobi here, and today, like I said, I have a bunch of videos queued up talking about all kinds of things WoW Classic related, but I thought with this video, you got to start from the beginning. You got to start with my history in vanilla. I'm not going to go over every single detail because I played the vast majority of vanilla, and I played it a lot. However, I am going to cover kind of the main points, and I think it's kind of an interesting story. I think it's something that very few people know about. This video is going to be a pretty longer video, like for sure, and I do want to apologize for the background footage of this video. I refuse to put private server footage on YouTube. I think it's kind of a gray area to do that. And then on top of that, WoW Classic isn't out yet, so I'm kind of just doing the best I can with putting up just random stuff in the background. The video is more so about to be listened to than to be looked at, right? So you can have it up on your second monitor while you're playing BFA or something. It's a good way to start the journey all over again, I guess you can say. So before vanilla came out, I played a lot of games. I mean, I played video games my whole life. I used to play a lot of single player games. Like I was a completionist. I would just like play a game and completely beat it and put many hours into it. Like Pokemon, Final Fantasy stuff. Like I played those games like crazy, and those were games you could play for a long period of time, but nothing compared to World of Warcraft, which, you know, you come to find out later on that you play that game for way, way longer than those types of games back in the day, like the old RPG Final Fantasies and stuff, which I love, like Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10. Like I played those like crazy, and that was kind of my thing. So around the time that World of Warcraft was coming out, one of my best friends, Jesse, asked me if I was going to play with him because him and a few of my IRL friends were going to play. These friends of mine lived in Canada. I had moved down to the States a few years before that. And I remember I was about 17 years old. I had just graduated high school, graduated a little bit early, and I was working part-time in the electronics section. Um, and one of my best friends, Jason, was the manager of that electronics section. So him and I pretty much were there all the time together, and it was cool because Jason is the type of guy. He got me into Shadow's Bane. He got me getting deeper into Diablo back in the day, and I've talked about Jason a few times on my stream. He's like, if I could say that I ever had a mentor in the action RPG world, like the Diablo world back in the day, a long time ago, it would be him. He was just so good at those kinds of games, and he was looking forward to playing World of Warcraft as well. So I was getting asked by Jesse, I was getting asked by Jason. They're like, "Hey, are you gonna get this game? Are you gonna get into it?" And I didn't know like anything about the game. All I knew is that it was a Blizzard game, that there was a lot of hype around it, and that it was gonna be an MMO. And you have to remember at the time we had like EverQuest and we had a few small things that we didn't really know what to expect. So I kind of didn't really want to play it at first because I don't know, like I had just finished high school, like I said, I was working. I remember I remember the day that vanilla came out, when World of Warcraft came out. I was working, and a lot of people came in and asked for it. Now you got to remember, back in the day, in order to play World of Warcraft, there was a box that you get, right, and it had a CD, and you had to a CD, DVD, whatever. You had to put into your computer to install it. You couldn't just get a code online or download it from their website or whatever, or like the BattleNet launcher like we have nowadays. You had to literally get a hard copy of the game, otherwise you couldn't play it. And this ended up being a big problem actually, because you guys have ever seen maybe interviews that they talked with Blizzard, talking about how they had put out a certain amount of copies for the game and had a certain amount of room on the servers, and didn't expect to get the amount of attention that it did. So very quickly the copies of the game started selling out, and Blizzard had to send out more and more copies to these store locations. I remember on the opening day, we sold out like really quickly. And I didn't have the money to buy it at the time. I didn't have the money for till the next day was coming up. It's going to be my first paycheck. So I was like, you know, we sold out, like maybe I'll play next week or the week after or something like that. And Jason told me, he's like, oh, we're getting another shipment in. They've been noticing that they've been flying off the shelves. We'll be getting another shipment on Thursday. But I was also working on Thursday. So I come in on Thursday, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So on Wednesday, my buddy Jesse had got the game, and he had messaged me. I think it was like on Skype or something like that. Like Skype had just come out or something, and or maybe he messaged me on Facebook. I don't remember, but he messaged me and he's like, "Oh, dude, I got the game. We're on the server. We're good to go. As soon as you get the game, let us know. We'll get you the details, and you can come in and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, cool, cool." So I was like, I just got to get paid, and we're getting a shipment in on. I'll be able to get it by Thursday, so we'll be all good. So Thursday I'm working, and we did get a shipment in for more copies of WoW, but they started selling out quickly again. And I asked my manager, like the main guy there, I was like, "Hey, can I reserve a copy, kind of put it behind the shelves, and then so that after work I could, you know, blah 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 blah." And he's like, "Oh no, we're not allowed to do that, especially for something like this that's been flying off the shelves. We have to customers come first type thing," which I understood, but at the same time I was like, "Damn it, man! Like I gotta get this, you know." So I remember I was in the PC section where they have a lot of the, you know, PC games, like up on the cabinets or whatever, the shelves or whatever, and there was only 3 copies of World of Warcraft left, and it was about 8 o'clock at night at this point in time, and I think we closed at like 10. So we had a couple more hours and only 3 copies left. So I'm sweeping every once in a while I come by and sweep the floor near that area just to see how many copies were left. And then we were down to 2 copies. And then it was about 9:30 and I go over there and there's 1 copy left. And I'm like, "Oh boy, like 30 minutes to go. If anybody comes in, like I could have just like hit it or something like that." And I know a lot of people that work in these kind of industries, they would do something like that, but it was like, you know, my first job that I actually like. I had done jobs beforehand, but it was like my first official job, I guess you could say. um and I didn't want to screw it up, and you know, so I didn't want to get like in trouble or something like that. So, you know, I left it there and whatever. So it's about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes before we close, and that 1 copy is still there, and I'm stayed right by it on the shelves. Like I'm sweeping right in front of it, and Jason comes over, um, my buddy, and he's like, "Hey, so I noticed you'll be here for a little while now." And he's like, "Did you get all the other stuff done?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's all done. I'm just you know, I'm just sweeping." He's like, "Oh, there's only 1 copy left of World of Warcraft," and he said I couldn't reserve it. So and then Jason's like, "Oh, this right here," and he puts his hand up and he knocks it off the shelf by accident, and it lands on the ground. And then he's like, "Oh, damn. Oh, man. Oh, clumsy me. Oh, boy." And he picks it up, and there's like a little dent in the box or whatever, which doesn't mean anything, by the way. We all know this, but there's a little dent in the box. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to have to defect this out because, you know, that's what we do. You know, if something gets, that's kind of how it works. Like if you have a product on the shelves and it gets like damaged or something, you defect it out and then you send it back to the company, the manufacturer, and they send you a new copy to replace it, and then they like refurbish it or whatever the heck they do with it or whatever, so they can resell it and rebox it and stuff like that." So he's like, I gotta take this to the back. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So he takes the box to the back, and he's talking to the lady back there, and he's like, "Yeah, I gotta like put this out." So he's like signing some papers and stuff like that, and then he's like, "Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, okay, well, I guess we better start closing down." So they close the doors, and and so I help him close down the electronics and everything. And then I go to leave, and I go to my locker, and I think it's like 10:30 at this point. We got done pretty quickly, 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that. And I'm going out to the parking lot. Jason comes out to the parking lot behind me, and he's like, "Hey, dude, you forgot something." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, yeah, your game, dude. You left it back there." And I was like, "Oh." And he hands me World of Warcraft, the one that he defected out, right? And and so yeah, so that's how I got World of Warcraft. Was apparently I found out that he actually just paid for it. He was just stalling for time. So it wasn't actually, he didn't like steal it. But we had to be a little, because he couldn't reserve the game, he had to kind of hold on to it and put it in limbo for like a short amount of time to make sure that I get it, so that not somebody else got it or something like that. So it's a little bit of a gray area, but hey, got the job done. So he gets me the game, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it home, I'll install. He's like, yeah, just let me know what server you go on, man, and maybe we'll play. He's like, I'm working like crazy, so I don't know if I'll have time to play very much, but have fun with it, man. Plus, Friday was going to be my day off, and I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, so I had the whole weekend to play, just have fun with it. I didn't know what to expect of the game, obviously, but, I was looking forward to it. So I got back home and I messaged Jesse and I'm like, dude, I got the game. There was one copy left. He's like, oh, awesome. Okay. He's like, so we're on the server Mediv, or Mediv, how some people like to say it. And we're on the Alliance. So make a character there, and then I'll add you to friends list. I got to go to bed, and I got work in the morning, and then, just start getting caught up. I think he said he was like level 12 or something at the time, because he had played for about a day and a half at the time. And he's like, yeah, just level up and we'll catch up together and we'll do stuff together. So I go on Medivh, and I'm gonna make an alliance character, but I didn't know what class to pick. I knew nothing about the game whatsoever, like as many of us didn't know anything about the game. I looked at I picked a mage. The reason why I picked a mage is because sorcerers in Diablo were really powerful, really, really good, and I didn't like I've always been a big fan of the elements, I guess you can say. So I'm assuming, a mage, he's gonna shoot like fireballs and lightning bolts and water stuff, and like I don't know, like I knew nothing about the game, so I was like, so I literally made my character, and this is the most edgelord type name that I could possibly make. I made a human. I actually have some pictures of it. I think I can put it up on screen, of my very first character ever back in the day. These are old school pictures. I think I have them somewhere. Um, of my human mage named Thundred. Because I thought that he was going to be able to shoot lightning bolts. Apparently, mages don't shoot lightning bolts. But I don't find that out until later on. But yeah, his name is Thundred. And I start leveling, and I remember getting right into the game, starting the human area in Elwyn Forest, and right off the bat, I'm like, oh wow, this is a big world. Like, even though it was like a very, you're going up against like wolves and kobolds and things like that. Nothing super threatening, right? But the world itself just looks so big, and you didn't like, I zoomed out on the map and I'm like, whoa, like there's so much area to go, and like, okay, this is pretty cool. I never had an experience like this before, of this like massive world. And it really, I mean, MMO, massive multiplayer online game, I mean, it really encapsulated that. And it really felt like a massive world. So I remember leveling up, and I was playing the mage, and I was, killing stuff and having a good time. And I go down to Goldshire to do all my stuff down there, do quests. I'm just doing quests and killing stuff, and I think I probably died like a couple times because I'd ran through like Defias areas and Murlocs, and I died quite a few times. And I got to like level. I remember I played a lot. My first time playing, I think I got to about, because my friend said he got to around level 12, so I wanted to get to around level 12 as well. We start doing Westfall, and it's like a whole different world now. It's like, whoa, wow, you went from like a foresty area to like a desert pretty much, like just like a farmland, like barely any trees in sight kind of area. And I remember this to this day, and even my friend remembers this to this day. There's a quest. This is like the second day of us playing World of Warcraft, first week of vanilla. There's a quest in Westfall where you have to kill boars to get either a boar head or boar liver. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was like liver or a head. Because I think they changed the quest later on or something. I think it might have been a liver or something. So anyways, it was a chance for it to drop. It was a quest item. I got it done pretty quickly, and I was helping Jesse get his done. And he still wasn't getting the quest item. He still wasn't getting the quest item. He farmed those boars for like 2 hours and still didn't. I'm not kidding, dude. Like 2 hours he was on that boar, and he was pissed, dude. He was pissed. He was like, what the hell, dude? Just give me the head. Just give me the liver or whatever it was. He's like, every one of these boars has one. I can see it. Look, just let me take it. Like, what the hell? He was getting super frustrated. Even to this day, if him and I are doing quests like in Legion or BFA or whatever, and it takes a little bit longer to get a quest item, I'm like, it's not as bad as the boars back in vanilla. And he's like, dude, I'm still pissed about that. Don't you talk about that. Like, he was so mad that it took forever for him to get that. Man, and we still, like, that's something we still talk about to this day. Anyways, it's a little things like that, you know, that, like, make it, you know, fun or whatever. So, we were doing Westfall, and keep in mind, I had never been to Stormwind yet. I had played the game for 2 days, and I had still never been to Stormwind. Nowadays, most of you guys are like, you just go to Stormwind right after Goldshire, and, you know, you go do the Elmer's, whatever thing, you turn that in, and you go, you know, go to the weaponsmith or weapon master and learn your whatever and blah blah blah. Like, nowadays we know this stuff, but like back then I had still not even been to Stormwind, and my buddy we had a quest to go to Stormwind, I think, but I think I was like level 16 or 17. There was like a Defias quest or something. It tells you to go to Stormwind, and I was like, oh, where's this? And he's like, oh, I think it's up there. And we went to Stormwind, and man, the first time seeing Stormwind, it's exciting, man. It was exciting. I was like, oh wow, this is something else, you know. So we go into Stormwind, we do all our stuff there, and I'm just like walking around, like venturing through the city, and it was a sight to be seen. And then after we were done with Westfall, we went to Red Ridge. We were gonna do Dead Mines, but we didn't have a group to do it. And some of our friends were actually a little bit higher level than us, as they had played a little bit longer than us, and I think they had experience like in EverQuest and stuff too, so they were just kind of like ahead of the curve. And they said they were gonna later that night they were gonna run us through Dead Mines. I'm like, okay, so we went over to Red Ridge so we could do some quests, and I think I have maybe some pictures that I showed you before of Thundred in Red Ridge. If you look at those bars, man, I think I have the picture, but if you look at those bars, like I have that one bar at the bottom, I have like, it's just, I was a clicker. I think most of us were clickers. I was a clicker for like probably most of vanilla or something. And that, you know, it's just the way it was. So we did some like Red Ridge quests and stuff, and then one of our other friends, Jason, he was playing a mage, and then his friend was playing a priest, and they're like, yeah, we can run you through Dead Mines if you want. And I think at the time we were about level 21, 22, and they were like in the 30s, like 31, 32, something like that. And I remember we went into Dead Mines. This was our first experience into Dead Mines, and I remember Jason just goes in there on his mage, and he's just AoEing everything down, killing it like it's nothing. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna be like that later. I can't wait. Whoa, dude. Like I'm pumped, you know, like for that awesome. He's just AoEing things down, and his friend the priest is healing him and stuff. And I was like, man, one day, dude, I'm gonna be able to do that, you know. And it's literally like only a 10 level difference, but that's just part of the magic of vanilla. It's like that short amount of time, level wise, makes a big difference. You know, you unlock certain skills at a certain point, and it really makes a big difference. So we went through Dead Mines, and I was excited. I remember like when the Tauren guy comes down, he's like, "Halt! Who goes there?" or something like that. And he comes down the ship, and you're like, "Oh man, this is exciting!" Like it just felt epic, dude. It felt epic. We did the whole thing. Now, one thing that you guys might forget, and maybe this was like this on your server, maybe it wasn't. We know dead mines as dead mines nowadays. But if I'm remembering correctly, I believe everybody called dead mines VC for Van Cleef. We didn't know what the name of the dungeon was, so we just called it VC. We called it Van Cleef. And I don't like, this is really early into vanilla. Maybe some of you guys like did that too, but I remember calling it VC. And then later on it had, you know, oh, dead mines. Oh, okay. So anyway, we did all that. Jesse and I were doing Duskwood and stuff like that, and now I'm gonna kind of skip. I'm not gonna go, you know, over the whole process of leveling up, but on my mage, I got to about level 40, and I remember that I was like level 36, 37, and I had run out of quests, and I didn't know about the quest down in Booty Bay. So I was like, what do I do now? And my buddy's like, well, if you don't have any quests, maybe just grind for a bit or whatever. And I'm like, well, which mobs would I grind? So I was doing some research online on Thoughtbot back then, and I noticed that out of all the gear that I had, one thing I didn't have was trinkets. And I'm like, how do I get trinkets? That would be cool to have trinkets. And there's these mobs in STV, these crocolisks, that have a very, 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 very small chance to drop a trinket, which I think it was called a Cold Eye Basilisk trinket or something like that. I thought, oh, that would be cool to get that. So I can grind these mobs for a while, these crocolisks, and maybe I'll get that trinket. Looking back on it nowadays, I think I remember now it's actually really bad, that trinket, but for some reason I wanted it just because I didn't have something in that slot. So I was grinding these basilisks, and I remember, man, I didn't know how to do AoE grinding. You got to keep in mind, like nobody did, not for quite a while. So I'm just killing one mob, sitting and drinking, killing one mob, sitting and drinking, killing one mob, sitting and drinking, just doing this. And I remember I was listening to a podcast. I believe it was called the Bob and Tom Show in like Atlanta. They do something like that. I listened to this podcast, and I sat there for I don't know how many hours, man, from like level 37 all the way to 40 in that spot. It was must have been 15, 16 hours of just grinding that one spot till I got to 40. And all the drinking, dude. Oh my god. By the time I got to 40, my friend's like, oh, you can get your mount now. I was like, dude, I have like 20 gold. Like, I can't buy a mount because it was like super expensive compared to that. It was like 100 gold or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I can't buy a mount. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was like, oh man, I still got to go all the way to 60. It's still 20 more levels. And I had just done this big grind off the basilisk. By the way, didn't get the trinket. I was there for like a long time. Um, and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I gonna keep playing this mage? I don't know. Like, just sitting and drinking, sitting and drinking, sitting and like it's like it was just frustrating to me. I wanted to keep going. I want to go, 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 you know? So I talked to my friend about maybe leveling another class because I had played with some people and I'd seen other classes in the game. And one class that really stood out to me was the rogue. And my friend was like, yeah, dude, I want to do a rogue too. Maybe we should level up rogues together. You know, while you're gaining some rested XP on your mage, you can make some gold on the rogue while you're leveling it up, and you can maybe get your mount for your mage. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I made a human rogue named Nomed, uh, Nomed, which spelled backwards is demon. Now keep in mind, my name's Shinobi. I tried to get the original Shinobi name, couldn't get it. So I had to like come up with names. Like, I literally had the Shinobi name before WoW even existed, well before WoW even existed. So I start leveling up good old Nomad, my rogue, and all of a sudden, like, night and day difference. I'm like, wow, I love this way more. Holy crap, I don't have to sit and drink. I can just keep killing, and it's fun. The animations look cool, and you're just like, I like that, man. Like, I've always been fascinated with the whole ninja lore and stuff. I mean, obviously, name Shinobi, the whole ninja army, like, and I leveled up, and man, I leveled up way faster this time. Way, way faster. Um, I remember that I got to level 40 on that rogue, and then I had a choice to make. Well, my rogue's level 40 and my mage is level 40. Which one am I going to continue? And I did make enough gold for a mount, but only one of those two characters could get a mount. So which one's it going to be? Well, I continued with the rogue. And my first character, my mage, Thundred, never got touched again, ever, in 15 plus years. Never went on him ever again. He was done. I retired Thundred. And I kept going with the rogue, and I kept leveling up, and I remember doing ZF and getting the trinket for the mount movement speed, which like was really cool. I remember doing Tenaris and um, getting up a little bit higher level. I remember I got to about level 49, and I didn't really know what to do for quests, so I went to Western Plaguelands in an area called Sorrel Hill. Now, the reason I knew about Sorrel Hill was because of server maintenance. One thing I used to do back in the day is on Tuesdays they would do server maintenance as they do nowadays. However, it was much different back then than it is now. Sometimes the servers would be down for a day, 2 days, 3 days, and I just wanted to play World of Warcraft. I was so immersed into it, man. I played 15 plus hours a day whenever I didn't have a day at work, and I really wanted to, level up my rogue and stuff. So I watched these videos, and the very first video I ever saw, and I remember it to this day, it wasn't Pat, it wasn't Maydai, it wasn't Swifty. This is before those guys, okay? I can't even find the video. That's how old it was. There was a shaman named Moo, and he was like a level 50 something shaman, and he was in Sorrel Hill, and he was ganking people with a two-hander and Wind Fury. And I remember he had the Rammstein music, bang, 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 bang. And I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh man, this guy's destroying everyone. This is cool, man. Oh man, how come I can't do that? I wanna destroy people. Like I haven't found anybody to PvP against or anything like that, to kill. I wanna do what he's doing. Man, I'm like, but that area is cool. So I went to Sorrow Hill because I thought maybe that's where you go to PvP. So I went there and there was nobody there. But there were some mobs there that were really easy to kill. And I had heard from a few friends that that was a good grind spot to do. So I grinded in that location. I grinded up until about level 51, 52, something like that. And then I went deeper into Western Plaguelands, into the farm area, grinded those mobs. And something about grinding, man. I don't know. Some of you guys might be different, but I've always loved grinding. It's something that's so chill. You have like a movie up in the background or a podcast, or nowadays like a stream or something like twitch.tv/Shinobi Live. Uh, you got that going in the background, and you just kind of grinding away, just killing stuff. And it was a good way for me to practice my rotation and practice playing a rogue in general. And I grinded that spot all the way to 60, and it was cool to finally be 60 in the game. And it's like, what do you do now? Like the whole world is at your fingertips. You can do whatever you want now. So I started I asked, people in the guild, okay, what are you supposed to do when you get to level 60? And they're like, well, you got to make sure you're attuned for Onyxia, you got to make sure you're attuned for Molten Core, you got to make sure that you get your gear for raiding and stuff like that from dungeons. And I'm like, okay. So I had to go to like Winter Spring and start doing like quest chains. I had to do BRD to get my Molten Core thing. And I just started doing all these dungeons and having a good time. And I remember that um, I went to Undead Strat. I got the Cape of the Black Baron. I did Undead Strat a lot. There was this one rogue friend that I found. He was a night elf. I don't remember his name to this day. He was one of my first friends in vanilla, actually. Um, and him and I did Undead Strat quite a bit because he wanted the Skullforge Reavers, um, and I wanted them too, obviously. And Cape of Black Baron, there's like some good items you can get in there. Obviously, the mount would be cool to get, but neither of us got the mount. Um, and so we did that, and then I remember I did just all kinds of dungeons and stuff, getting ready to do raiding and stuff, and I was starting to get pretty decent gear, and I was like, you know what, I'll be ready for raiding. And my buddy Jesse had just hit level 60, so I was helping him get some stuff done so that we could get into raiding together, and for the first time ever do Molten Core, which would be really awesome. So I remember one night, like, I think Jesse had been 60 for a few days, and I had been 60 for a couple weeks now, and we're like, hey man, let's go explore the world. We never really get to explore the world. Let's go explore it, man. Let's go see what's out there, Like, all right, cool. So we get on our mounts. I don't think I had an epic mount yet. I was getting close, and I was like, maybe we can find cool farm locations or whatever. So we go down to Booty Bay, and we knew that there was a boat there always, but we never knew where the boat went. So let's go see where the boat goes. Keep in mind, both of us hit level 60, and none of us ever went on the boat to go over to Ratchet at this point. The way that we ended up getting to Tanaris was we went to Wetlands to get on the boat to go to the Alliance City there, Theramore, I think it was called, to go down to there. So we had never actually gone to Ratchet before. So we go to Ratchet, and right away we're seeing this world of like, oh man, it's like this desert area. This is pretty cool. Like, we'd only saw it briefly because we went to Tanaris once and then came back, but we only saw the southern part of the Barrens. And we go up and we're following the road, and we see this town in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. And you know what town I'm talking about, and that town is Crossroads. And we're like, oh man, there's like these orc guards outside, and like, oh man, I see players in there. Whoa, I see players of the opposing faction. Whoa, holy crap, I actually see other players. Sometimes I would see other players, but it was very rare that I would see them during the leveling process. And they would usually just, keep to themselves, and I would keep to myself and whatever. And I was like, oh man, maybe this is the area that we PvP, right? Because I'm seeing a big gathering of them here. And a lot of them are like lower level people. There were a few people that are higher level. And I noticed that there was one guy in the middle of the town, because we're both rogues, right? So we're stealth. We're kind of like up by the guards, like looking in, kind of seeing what's in there. And I saw this one guy, he was hostile. I could actually attack him. I was like, oh, wow, this is a player that I can actually attack. I'm going to go attack this guy. So we stealth into Crossroads to get by the guards, and Jesse and I open up on him and kill him. And then all of a sudden we start getting attacked by other people, and there's guards on us, and we're like, oh man. So we sprint, and we're like running away, and we vanish, and we get out of the town, and we're like, whoa, that was cool, dude. Whoa. Oh, man, this is awesome. I want to do this stuff all the time. This is awesome. We totally killed that guy. That felt good, man. We got that guy. And I noticed on my portrait that there was this little alliance symbol on my portrait. I was like, I never noticed that before. You're starting to catch on to what's happening here. So I said in guild chat, I'm like, how come I have this alliance thing on my thing? They're like, did you just kill somebody? I'm like, yeah, I did. And they're like, oh, because you're PvP enabled now. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean, PvP enabled? And they're like, oh, we're on a PvE server. Medivh is a PvE server. So in order for you to be PvP enabled, you have to turn it on yourself manually or fight somebody that's, hostile. I was like, wait, what's a PvE server? And they're like, oh, player versus enemy, player versus environment. It's not a PvP server. You'd have to go to a different server to do that. And I was like, what? You're telling me that I leveled from 1 to 40 on my mage and 1 to 60 on my rogue, got geared, ready for raiding, about to have my epic mount, and now I find out that this is a PvE server and that you can't go around PvPing people like I saw Moo do in that video? What? I'm not gonna be able to do that stuff? And they're like, well, I mean, they could flag themselves for PvP, but no one's gonna do that. No one's gonna leave themselves vulnerable like that. I want to play on a PvP server. What the hell? And like Jesse, I told him that, and he's like, oh, dude, I didn't know, man. Like, they just said they were going to play on this server, and we didn't really know what it meant. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh man, like, I don't know. Maybe I should level a character on a PvP server, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. And it's like, this is something that I want to do, man. Like, so a little bit of time goes by, and Blizzard comes out with the patch I can't remember the patch name. Is the War of Drums patch, the one that comes out with the Battlegrounds. Came out with Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin. So Blizzard announces that they're going to be coming out with new servers. This is one thing that Blizzard used to do back in the day, and I wish they would do it nowadays, man. I really miss this. They would come out with new servers, and everyone would start fresh. You start leveling up together, and you try and get all the way up to like 60, and then you do all the stuff and whatever. And I was like, man, that's what I should do. I should level on a new server. That way I'm equal with everybody else, and we can progress together. We can get up to 60, and I'll be on a PvP server, and I can kill people along the way, and it'll be super fun. So I had my buddy Jason, you know, the guy that originally got me World of Warcraft. He contacted me and he texted me. He'd been working like a crap ton, and he's like, "Hey, dude, how's WoW been going for you?" I'm like, "Oh man, you know, I got level 60 and this and that." He's like, "Dude, why don't you come over and like see what what I'm doing?" So I come over to his place. He lived like super close to me, like took like a 2-minute drive, like super close. So I go over there, and I remember he's got a 32-inch TV on his wall that he plays World of Warcraft on. I always thought that was crazy awesome because, like, back then I had a little box monitor, like, little 15-inch, like, little garbage. I remember the first time I had 256 megabytes of RAM. I remember being in Ironforge, upgrading from 256 megabytes to RAM to 512 megabytes of RAM, and feeling like I was a god all of a sudden. I'm like, whoa, there's like no lag. I went from 12 FPS to 19. Whoa, whoa. Like, that was exciting, man. So I'm like watching him play, and he's playing. I'm like, oh, what class are you playing? And like, what server and stuff? He told me the server, and he's like, oh, I'm playing a Tauren Shaman. And I'm like, oh, is this kind of like that guy that I saw Moo Moo type thing? He's like, I don't know what video you're talking about, but you know, it's pretty awesome. I really like this class. It's fun. He was like level 34 or something like that. He's playing the shaman. He's like, yeah, dude, the shaman's pretty cool, man. Have you ever played a shaman before? And I said, no. He's like, hey, sit down and try it out. So I sat down. He's like, hey, make sure you put Wind Fury on. I'm like, okay. So I put the little, I clicked whatever the one was. I clicked Wind Fury. I'm like, what does that do? And he's like, oh, it puts an enhancement on your weapon that allows you to get additional attacks. It's really cool. You're going to like it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, dude, are you on a PvP server? He's like, yeah, man, I want a PvP. Of course I'm on a PvP server. Like, I mean, it's Jason we're talking about here, you know? Just like me. Like, obviously, I want to buy out. Never mind, whatever. I'm still pissed about that, by the way, Jesse and Jason, for putting me on a freaking PvE server back in the day. Anyway. So he's like, yeah, see that dwarf over there? It's a dwarf paladin. I remember this. And he's like, go get him, dude. Go get him. Just run up to him and auto attack him. That's it. Wind Fury will do the rest. And I'm like, oh, really? So I go over and, you know, I'm running over to him and I just like auto attack him and just whoosh, Wind Fury. These numbers come up. This like crazy tornado action goes on. And he's like, yeah, now Earth Shock him. And it's like this lightning effect kind of happened. I was like, whoa, this is what I thought Mage was. This is what I thought Mage was. Oh, man. And the Wind Fury was the most glorious thing I'd ever seen. I had leveled from 1 to 40 on a Mage. I leveled from 1 to 60 on a Rogue. And this was the coolest thing I had ever seen in the game. Wind Fury. I must have this. I must be a shaman. I must channel the elements inside of me. I must do this. And I said, that's it, dude. I'm leveling a shaman on one of these new servers that come up, and I'm going to PvP, damn it. And that's what I'm going to do. So I did. New servers came around, and I remember I picked a server, and I told Jesse, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm leveling up over here. If you want to come join me, cool. If not, whatever, I'm doing this by myself. I gotta go. I gotta do this. I gotta play in a PvP server. So I did. I started leveling up, and it was kind of slow at first because, you know, it's the one to, you know, I'd never done these zones before because these are the Horde zones, right? I was on Alliance before, so I made an Orc Shaman. Okay, you ready for this? We're gonna get edgy. Okay, we're gonna get edgy. I made an Orc Shaman, and the purpose of this Orc Shaman was to be evil. People viewed as the Horde as evil back in the day, and I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be that guy that was ruthless, that would just kill anybody. If it's red, it's dead. I didn't get to PvP this whole time, and I'm now going to be able to PvP. I don't care if you're level 20. I don't care if you're level 40. I don't care if you're level 60. I don't care if you're in better gear than me. I'm going to kill you. Period. That's what's going to be the name of this character? Vulgar. Vulgar the shaman. That's what I named him. I wanted to give him an evil sounding name. Someone just didn't give a shit. Someone just said whatever the hell he wanted. I'm gonna, I'm a badass. And so I made Vulgar the shaman. So leveled up Vulgar and went through, did Wailing Caverns for the first time, which is really cool. I was being asked to heal a lot in dungeons, but hey, that's the way it is, dude. That's the way it is. And then finally, the moment came. Level 30, I finally got Wind Fury. Oh man, I was like, oh man, I need to get some of that Wind Fury fix, man. Can I be level 30 yet? Ooh. Like, I just wanted to get to 30 as quick as possible. I wanted to get that Wind Fury, and I wanted to feel it for myself. So I got to 30, and I got Wind Fury. And you know what I did? I immediately went to Red Ridge. I got Wind Fury. I went to STV. People are a little bit too high level, so I went through Duskwood, and I was like, people are kind of around my level, but no, I want to gank Lobies. I just want to one-shot somebody with Wind Fury. So then I went to Red Ridge, and sure enough, there's like level 17s, 18s running around, and I'm level 30, and I'm big, and I'm bad, and I'm vulgar, and I'm gonna give it to you. So I got Wind Fury, and I go up to this guy, I just one-shot them, like, oh, yes, the power. And I was like, I must have been in Red Ridge all night, dude. All freaking night. And it was glorious. And you have to keep in mind that I leveled pretty quickly, and this is a new server, so there was very few people that were higher level than me. So I could kind of go around and I could just kind of do what I wanted. I stayed in Red Ridge all night and nobody gave me any problems. I could just kill people nonstop. So I did. And I did that, and I had lots of fun with it. So anyways, leveling up and everything like that. And we're going to jump a little bit ahead in the story here. I remember I got to around level 40 something, and I was in the Badlands. And I meet this guy, my very first friend on this server. And his name is Tao. Tao, if you're out there, what's up, dude? It's been a long time. He was a troll hunter. I remember this to this day. A troll hunter named Tao. He was in Badlands because he was trying to get Broken Tooth. At the time, I didn't know what Broken Tooth was, but I was going to help this guy get it, and he got it. By the way, Broken Tooth is the best pet for PvP. So Tao and I are leveling up. Hunters are really fast levelers, obviously. So we're kind of just going around. We do like Tanaris together. We do a bunch of places. We get up to about like mid 50s at this point. We're like 53, 54, something like that. We're some of the highest level people on the server. So one night I was like, I gotta grind this out. I gotta get to level 60. But first, I want to have a little bit of fun. So I went to STV. And this is where things really step up. Okay, let's just say. So I go to STV, and I say in general chat, hey, is there any alliance here that are giving you guys problems? I'll take care of them. And they're like, yeah, dude, there's a group of alliance around Gurubashi. They're ganking people. They're out back of Gurubashi Arena. They're not in the arena. They're behind it. I was like, all right, I'm on the way. And I would go there every night after I was done grinding. I would spend a couple hours in STV killing. I was an anti-bully. I would gank people that were ganking other people. And so I went to Gurubashi, and there I see it. Just a little glimmer behind Gurubashi. I see two guys. A priest and like a hunter or something like that. I think it was like a dwarf hunter. I go back there, all of a sudden I open up, I frost shock, I'm a Wind Fury, and oh, get out of here, you're not ganking people in my area, my zone, my server. And I kill one of them, and then the other guy's like starting to kill me, and then the priest mind controls me. Right? The priest mind controls me. Then all of a sudden, 4 Horde people kill me. Horde, my brothers, the people on my side, killed me, the defender of the Horde, the defender of STV. I was pissed. I was so pissed, man. I immediately messaged one of the guys and I said, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be with me, not against me. And he's like, ha ha ha, noob, you suck. He's like laughing at me. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, yeah, so funny, man. When I get back there, I'll duel any one of you and I'll beat any one of you. You're a disgrace to the Horde. I was pissed, dude. I remember this so vividly. I was pissed. Because they're supposed to be on our side, man. And the guy mind controls me, and then my own team kills me. I get back up there, and sure enough, they do it again. I'm pissed. I gotta run from Booty Bay all the way up to Gurubashi Arena. It takes forever. Start running all the way back up there, and he keeps messaging me, and he's like talking in like /EL and STV, haha, Vulgar's a noob, blah, 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 like saying this kind of stuff, right? And I'm just like, that's it. And I say to the guy, and I say, you pick anybody. Anybody. I'll duel them 1 versus 1. If I win, then I earn, I earn my, my resurrection. You let me go on my way, and I'll let you guys go on your way, and we'll leave it at that. If I lose, you can camp me all night for all I care. I'll log out right now. I'll log out right now, you guys win. And he's like, okay. Sounds good. So I get up there, and he puts me up against a guy that's 2 levels above me. He was one of the highest level people on the server at the time. I think there was only 2 people that were higher level than him, which is a whole nother story for another day. His name is Glorin. I didn't know this, but Glorin was the best PvPer on the server. Even till the very end of the server. Even till the very end of vanilla. Glorin, if you do searches on Google, you will find stories about Glorin. He was the best PvPer on the server. He was a shaman. He was a Tauren shaman. And he says, he's like, okay, you're going to duel Glorin. So we're both shamans, so it's a very RNG type fight. And he's 2 levels higher than me. Better gear than me and everything like that. And he's a Tauren, so he has more health than me. And I'm an orc, so stuns aren't really going to play a factor unless I resist his war stomp. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a tough fight. So like, okay, best of 3. First duel, he destroys me. Oh man, this guy hits like a truck. He had a really nice 2-handed weapon, like way better than mine. How do I beat this guy? So, one thing that I had done versus rogues is I had a macro that I made that switches from 2-hand to 1-hand and shield. This is back when people didn't really do this, by the way. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him be aggressive on me. I'm going to switch to 1-hand and shield to take the brunt of his Wind Fury, and then I'm going to switch back to a 2-hander and switch it back on him. So I was thinking about this in my head. This is how I'm going to do it. So we start the fight, and I'm with the 2-hander, and all of a sudden I switch to a 1-hand and shield. As he hits me, it only takes like so much of my health. I switch back to a 2-hander, hit him, boom, 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 shock, boom, 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 doing all this stuff, and I beat him. We were tied up, 1 apiece. And they're like, no way, man. No one beats Glorin. What the hell? And like, Glorin's like, what the hell, dude? He's like, good duel, man. Like, what the heck? That's crazy. I've never lost before. And so we have the final duel. And he's like, whatever. Screw this guy. We got to get out of here. We got BGs we got to do and stuff anyways. So like, they get off on their mounts and they go back to do BGs and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I did it, dude. I defended the Horde, the honor. And I beat Glorin. I didn't know that he was such a big deal at the time. And, or that he would become a really big deal as well. So, I'm like, okay, I probably gotta log off or something like that. I'm gonna go back to Agrimar and, throw stuff on the auction house, stuff like that. And, I get messaged by the guy. I don't remember his name. Holy crap, I don't remember his name. I know he was a warrior and he was the leader of their group. And he says, hey, dude, we got a guild. We're doing PvP. No hard feelings, man. We'd like you to join our guild. Their guild name was Conquered. I didn't know this, but Conquered was going to become the best PvP team on the server. By far. And he asked me to join. And I said, I don't know, man. You guys are being an asshole. He's like, dude, you're really good. I take it back. You know that we're really good. Let's do it, man. Let's do PvP. Let's group up, type thing. Join us. And I said, you know what? Those guys were kind of assholes to me, but at the same time, my name's Vulgar. The whole purpose of my character was to be an asshole to people. So if you can't beat them, join them. So I did. So I joined their guild, and they added me into Vent, and I went in there, and they're like, "Hey, Vulgar, no hard feelings, dude." Like, we were talking to the Alliance on Ventrilo, and we like set that whole thing up, and like he mind controlled you, and then we killed you, and we were just all laughing. It was just all. I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, great, okay." And he's like, "Yeah, let's do some battlegrounds and stuff," and like, so what their plan was is that they wanted to get to rank 14. Um, and they had a plan on how they were going to do this. They were going to allow Glorin to get rank 14 first, then the leader of the guild, and then whoever was highest rank after that would get it next. That's the order that they wanted to go in. So if you guys don't know, you get a certain amount of honor every week to increase in your ranking, right? To get higher and higher, go to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and you get different unlocks along the way. When you get to rank 10, you have all the blue PvP gear. When you get to rank 13, you have all the epic PvP gear minus the weapons, and then 14, you get the weapons and stuff. So in order to go from rank 13 to 14, you had to have the highest honor on the server that week to go from 13 to 14. So you would kind of organize it in such a way that you'd be like, okay, so Glorin is going to get the most honor, and then everybody else is not allowed to get more honor than he does. So what he would do in Battlegrounds is we would do Battlegrounds like crazy, and while we were in queue, Glorin would be out in the world PvPing, killing people to make up the difference, to put him a little bit ahead of us. And so yeah, so Glorin ended up getting High Warlord. He wasn't the first person on the server to get it. That's a story for another time. But then next up was the leader of the guild to get High Warlord. And then after that, at the time, I was ranked 12. So I would have been up next to get High Warlord. As long as I got ranked 13 before the other guys did, I would be able to get High Warlord. Well, leader of the guild gets High Warlord, and so now I'm rank 13, I'm up next. Well, it's my week to get High Warlord. I sign in, ready to do it up, and I can't sign in. What? Oh, your password information is incorrect. What? So I type it in again. Still can't sign in. What? So I'm like, oh man. So I talk to people in my guild, and I'm like, dude, I can't sign in. They're like, oh, maybe your account got compromised or something. Call up Blizzard, they'll reset it for you, whatever. Keep in mind, back in the day, we didn't have authenticators. It was much easier to steal an account back in the day than it is nowadays. We didn't have like two-step verification, battle nets, and all this kind of stuff. You literally had a username and a password, and that's it. And you sign in. You could take someone's account just like that. They didn't even activate the IP tracking thing when you sign in from a different IP from somewhere else until later on down the line. So what had happened was my account was compromised, and I called up Blizzard, and the only way for you to get your account back in the day is you had to literally call Blizzard. You had to call them. And I called them up, and I remember being on hold for like 4 hours, dude. I was on hold for so long, and I finally talked to the guy. I'm like, yeah, I think someone took my account or whatever. He's like, yeah, just give me your key, and I'll get it back for you, no problem. I get my account back. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back in. So once again, I'm like, I'm ready. Okay, guys, I'm here to Battleground. I'm ready to do it up. Let's get rank 14. Blah blah blah. I get disconnected. After all that, I get disconnected. What the hell, dude? My account was compromised again. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm just going to bed. I'll deal with it in the morning. I'm not gonna sit on call for another 4 or 5 hours. So I go to bed, get up the next day, I call up Blizzard, and I say, so yeah, I call them up, and I finally get a hold of someone. I say, yeah, I need to get my account back. And they're like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, you see, you're not the first person to call in. We've been called in by multiple people posing as you, trying to get control of the account. Like, what? Multiple people have been calling in to try and, yeah, he's like, so the only way we can verify and give the account back to you is that if you go to a notary office with your real ID and everything like that, birth certificate, passport, driver's license, stuff like that, then you pay like a $25 fee, they sign a certificate, you fax that to Blizzard. This is going to take weeks, maybe even longer, in order to do this. And I'm like, dude, like, this is my one shot here to get High Warlord. Like, I'm trying to explain it to him. He's like, I don't care. You know, we gotta verify that it's you. That way we can completely reset all the information. And I was like, oh my God. So I was frustrated, man. I was super frustrated. So I got on a trial account or something, or I maybe got logged on my friend's account. And I noticed that I was logged in. The guy was on my account. And I messaged him and I was like, dude, what the hell? Get off my account, blah, 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 blah. He's like, ha, 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 ha. He's like laughing at me type thing. And I was like, dude, I'm going to get the account back. And this is where I, big mistake right here. I tell him, like, dude, it's okay, though, because I'm going to go to the notary office. I'm going to prove that it's me, and I'm going to get the account back, and it's going to be fine. So suck it, you know, type thing. I shouldn't have said this to him. Later on, I figure out that I shouldn't have said that to him, because he knew that I was going to get the account back eventually. So I remember I logged off, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done playing this game. I'm done playing WoW. I sunk in 15 plus hours a day, every day, grinding. I had, at this point in time, I had 4 60s, a rogue, I had a shaman, I had a hunter, I had a warrior, 4 60s, and I was getting up to rank 13, going for rank 14, and I lose my account. Well, I'm pissed off. I take about a week off or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I got to get this notary thing going or whatever. I go on to Ventrilo and I'm talking with one of the guys on Ventrilo, and I said, one of my friends, and he's like, dude, you lost your account? And I was like, yeah, dude, I lost my account. He's like, I wonder where you were. Like, what the heck? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know. I got like hacked or something like that. And he's like, oh, that happened to a few people. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, well, apparently somebody on the Alliance, and this is crazy, you're not going to believe this, but somebody on the Alliance, on the opposing team, because we kept winning so much, they wanted to screw our shit up. So they installed a keylogger into like one of the add-ons we downloaded from our page. So that's why he was able to keep getting my account, because he had a keylogger. So even when I changed my password, he knew what I changed it to, so he could immediately get in. And I'm like, oh man, that's, so I had to, like, you know, I reinstalled my entire computer. I didn't know about like all these like softwares that you use and stuff. I reinstalled my whole computer. I had to reinstall WoW again. That took like forever. And I was like, okay, well now I don't have to deal with that anymore. So I signed in on a message and I'm like, dude, I know how you stole my account, and I know that you use a keylogger and stuff. And then a crazy thing happens. And I'll never forget this, by the way, Conquered. I'll never forget this. I got messaged by people from Concord saying, hey, leave our guild member alone. Leave him alone. We're trying to do ZG here. He was in ZG with my guild pretending to be me. And my guild members thought that I was a troll against this guy that stole my account. And I'm like, what the hell? So I was pissed. My only friends that I had made in World of Warcraft that I'd spent a lot of time with now didn't like me anymore and didn't believe me. And some guy had stole my account and was posing to be me. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm done with this game. I'm not playing this game anymore. So I stopped playing. I didn't even try to get my account back. I said, you know what? You can have it, dude. Whatever. You can have it. I don't care. I'm not going through that whole process of doing that. And plus, I didn't even have a driver's license at the time. And so I would have had to go do that, and I'd have to go do all this other stuff, and it was like, just to get that, and I was like, no, I'm... Screw it, dude. Now, you might be wondering what happened to that original account. Well, I got the account back. I always thought about it years later because I was like, dude, if I could log in to my shaman, I could get all those titles, I could get my mounts, I could get, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be sick to be able to do that. So I'll try to get my account back. You know, Blizzard has changed things over the years. They've changed the way that you log in now, because you can get accounts back a lot easier. You just go through their like little system on their website, and you can get an account back. And you guess what? I got the account back. My original vanilla account, I got it back, and I added it to my BattleNet, and I was excited. I was so excited to log in once again to Vulgar and go and see my shaman. I wonder what he had done to my character too. He probably progressed some things for me. You know? I mean, maybe he's higher level now or something like that, but at least I'd have those titles that I could connect to my account. Because remember, we didn't have those connections back then. The mounts that you had, the titles that you had, they didn't even come out with achievements until I think Burning Crusade. So so I didn't have all that stuff on my current day World of Warcraft account. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and show you. Well, there's my hunter. Look at it. That is an actual level 60 hunter. You can tell. There's the PvP gear, there's the element shoulders or whatever. There's the pet that everybody loved back in the day, even though it wasn't the best pet to get. At one point in time, I think it was actually a little bit better and they nerfed it or whatever. I ended up actually getting the Shinobi name on this server, on Zulu. This is where I made my hunter here. I can't sign in because I don't have game time. Maybe that'll be another video. I'll sign in and show you, like, old school stuff. And, like, I got to rank 9 on this character. And this is when I lost my account. However, let's go to Maneve. There's Thundred. Told you about him. Level 40 Thundred. Where's Nomad? This is a level 1 Nomad that I made to log in, just to like log in, see what if I had anything there. See if it would give me like titles or whatever. Okay. But what about Vulgar? What about my warrior? So I contacted Blizzard. Restore deleted character. Not deleted. Contacted Blizzard. And you know what happened? Remember back in the story when I told you that I told the guy I was going to get the account back because I can go to the notary office and everything? What he did is he made another account. And he transferred my rogue, my warrior, and my shaman to another account. So that when my account eventually got shut down, he was already on another account with my characters. So somewhere out there, somebody has my shaman. Somebody has my warrior, somebody has Nomad. That guy out there has my characters. I told Blizzard, can you transfer them back? They're my characters. It's my account. He stole them from my account. They said, no, we can't do that. Because if I'm lying about this, then Blizzard is legally liable because he paid money for those transfers. So you're essentially taking money away from somebody that paid money for a service. This is a little loophole that people like to use when they take characters from your account and put it on another account. It makes it a lot harder for you to get them back. So that's it. Vulgar the shaman will go down in history, and he's gone forever. Nothing to be done about it. Can't get those characters back, but what we can do is August 27th, WoW Classic is coming back. And what that means is a second chance. Will I be playing a shaman in WoW Classic? I thought about it. I'm definitely going to be starting with a hunter, as I talked about in my previous video. My second character might be a shaman when Phase 2 PvP comes out. Just for old time's sake. We'll see. But that was my story. That was my vanilla experience, and that was my experience playing WoW. I know it wasn't a happy ending, but I don't, you know, regardless of what happened and me losing my characters back then, I still had a really enjoyable time playing WoW, and I had some playing vanilla. Some of my favorite memories that I ever had, and I'll always remember that. I may never be able to see my shaman ever again, or my rogue, my very first 60 ever, but you know, at least we got Thundred. I always wondered why he didn't take my hunter, my level 60 hunter. I always wonder why he never took it. Hmm. Anyway, thanks for listening to the story, guys. This was a super long video. Like I said, it was gonna be. I was gonna make some cuts along the way, so hopefully it will be around the hour-long mark or something like that. But hopefully you enjoyed it and found it interesting. But like I said, with WoW Classic coming up, we get to rewrite history. How are we gonna do that? Well, we'll have to find out. Till then, guys, my name is Shinobi, and as always, thanks for watching.